Hi everyone, welcome to Ada's Garden. If you're new around here, we're Danny and Joanna.
If you're wondering why Ada's garden, well, because of this one. That's Ada.
A couple of weeks ago you watched us buy an abandoned house which we're going to turn into a homestead, and today we're going to answer all your questions about it. We're also firing up our pizza oven for the first time this year, and Danny's going to show you how to make the best pizza in the world.
Making the best pizza in the world starts the day before you want to eat it. Step 1. Make poulish. Poulish is simply a pre-ferment that consists of equal parts of water and flour, with a touch of yeast. Only the best, Lidl's own. To make the poulish, we're simply mixing 300 grams of Caputo flour and 300 milliliters of the best tap water. Here you go. And half a packet of dry yeast. If you're using fresh yeast, make sure you double it and use double the amount. So I'm only using 3 grams of dried yeast. If you're using fresh, you can use 6. And after we mix it for a minute, this is the mixture that we have. And this is a poulish that needs to go in the fridge for 18 to 24 hours. See you in 24 hours. Come and join me for step 2. For step number 2, to our poulish in the bowl, we're going to add 280 grams of Caputo flour, 100 milliliters of water, and 17 grams of salt. This recipe gives us exactly 1000 grams of pizza dough, which we're going to divide into 4 dough balls of 250 grams each. Step 3, pretty easy. Put it in the mixer and beat it like it owes you money. Or you can do this by hand, but I choose the easy option. This is what the dough looks like after 8 minutes. It looks quite bumpy, and most people will be tempted to start turning it into dough balls at this stage, but I can assure you the dough will be sticky, and that's where people are going to end up adding more flour and they're going to ruin their pizza dough. So what I'll do is I'm just going to cover it with a tea towel for about 10-15 minutes, and we're going to remix it for literally 10 seconds, and you can see the difference in the dough. That was like watching paint dry, but now with a touch of olive oil, which you're going to quickly remix the dough for about 15 seconds. Look how elastic it is. That's good. That means the gluten is nicely developed. And this is called the window effect. If you can stretch and see through without tearing apart, that means the gluten is pretty strong. And that's exactly what we want in a pizza dough. Step number 3 or 4, whichever we are. Next step, take your dough out the mixer bowl and put it on a slightly oiled surface. And then I'm just going to fold on itself a few times. And you can see how it becomes smoother. And the final stage to get the dough ready for the pizza is to divide it into 4 equal bowls and get all the different toppings ready. And once I do that, I'll let Joanna answer some of the questions that you've asked us about our homestead.
One of the first questions was a location, and a few of you guessed it, that was Bulgaria. A few of you guessed Portugal, which, to be fair, is a place that we know a lot of people have moved to and we were considering, but it's significantly more expensive for what you get, which could be quite a lot of land and a tiny little house that might not even be attached to the grid for maybe 3-4 times the price of what we paid for our house. So we did think of it as an option, but then we settled for Bulgaria instead. And the second question was why? We just kind of come to a point where we want a bit of a different lifestyle, to slow down and become a bit more self-sufficient in the food that we eat, and kind of being a bit more mindful and present with, life, because we whiz around day to day, going to work, coming home, doing XYZ, and then the day's gone before you know it, and it just seems to be speeding away from you. So we thought we'd just give it a go to slow down and see how that goes. One of the other things is, from looking at lots of places in Europe, is the cost of living. Although food no longer is one of the most affordable things anywhere you go. There's lots of other things that can be factored into kind of our living costs, such as, you know, bills and council tax, and having the space to become a bit more self-sufficient gave us kind of a bit of an idea of a lower cost of living. And the fact that Danny mentioned that his mum is living right behind us, she's given us heaps of ideas of how much that she spends per month for a family of 3. And with there only being 2 of us, it seemed like a really realistic thing that we could do. Another big one for us was a bit of a better climate, so more sunshine hours and less rain, although the seasons are in the extremes. So you've got your really cold, snowy winters and your scorching hot summers. That still seemed a bit more, I don't know, enjoyable for us, because then the spring and autumn is still also a lot warmer than the UK, which will give us lots of opportunities for getting in the garden, going hiking, going camping, and all the things that we actually enjoy. I'm going to go and ask Danny why he wants to move to Bulgaria as well. Hello. Can you tell us why you want to move to Bulgaria?
Chickens, DIY, no more work, bigger pizza oven. That's it.
Simple as that. Keeps a man happy.
I'm going to go and put my bowls in the greenhouse where it's nice and warm so they can double in size faster. Meanwhile, we can answer some more questions.
So another question we had from somebody was, are you abandoning your current UK garden? And a short answer is no, not just yet. Purely because we don't have the finances yet to go. We want to be able to save a bit of a buffer to be able to pay for most of the renovation, because there's always a budget for renovation and we always, you know, people always go over the budget. So we're going to try and save a bit more money. And that means we're here for a bit longer in the rain, as it started to rain. But we'll definitely go back and visit our property at some point. Next question is, do we plan on having animals?
No, we like traveling too much, so we don't think we can commit to having animals. But potentially we could have some chickens, because I'm sure one of our neighbors would be happy to look after them for a week or 2 at a time.
So what about the visa situation if we were going to move?
So pre-Brexit, it was pretty straightforward. As Bulgaria is part of the European Union, people could just go abroad to Bulgaria, buy a house and just live as normal. After Brexit, things have been a bit more complicated. You have to register company and yada, 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 buy the house through your company, etc. However, we don't have to worry about that, because if you can't tell by the accent, I am actually Bulgarian. And Joanna gets the golden ticket because we're married.
Providing we don't get divorced within the next year, we're good.
Step whatever we are at making pizza, make sure the temperature of the oven is nice and hot, and that means 400 degrees Celsius on the pizza stone. All the ceiling of the pizza oven is not covered in black soot and it's clean. As you can see, this one is not ready yet.
Not ready. Danny sent me to pick some fresh basil, which is one of the first harvests out of our garden this year. It's a shame that our tomatoes, the marmande, aren't ready yet, because these are the ones that we'll be using to make sauces as well. And another question was, what about income if we move there?
And this is where you guys come into play. We rely on you to watch and share our videos, and if that works out, that would be great. And if not, we just cross that bridge when we get to it, right? But for now, back onto the pizza. We're just gonna start actually making the pizza now. And to begin, we're not stretching the dough. As you can see, I'm just pushing it towards the edges to make a nice thick crust. And we are going for Napolitan style pizza. And when it's about this size, then we can stretch. A bit more semolina. I use semolina because it makes it nice and crunchy. Homegrown basil, always before the cheese, otherwise it's going to burn. And to put the pizza on the peel, shame it doesn't reach there.
Do you need a hand?
I need use your assistance. A little bit of semolina on the peel, just a bit, so it doesn't stick. and drag onto the peel. Once it's on the peel, we can stretch it, make it bigger, 12 inches. Check if it's stuck, and off in the oven it goes. One shot. I forgot the olive oil. Oh, look at this. So the top is a little bit burned. When the cheese is brown, that means it's burnt. So we're just gonna need a little less flame on our next one. But the bottom is perfect. And the side, the crust, soft and crunchy in the same time.
We've answered some of your questions, and now we're going to enjoy our pizza. If you want the recipe, it's in the comments, but we'll see you next time.
I mean, how good does that look? Soft and crunchy in the same time.